especially on Dragonshire. So for them, they lose that first game, but they still have more opportunities. We're going to take a look now at the Battleground pool and see where we're going for the next game.
Towers of Doom. Not necessarily been Tempo's, I guess, best map. They're 2-2 on this. Gale Force 3-2. But
no,
this
but
does.
It's still one that they are willing to pick, correct?
Yeah, and the reason being is that it allows them to kind of pick these unique drafts. When it comes to different maps, and you could really go in depth on different objectives, the way different maps are played, this allows them to say, look, we can still draft unconventional, and it's not going to hurt us in the same way that it would on, say, like a Cursed Hollow or a Sky Temple, things like that, to where you can be punished a little bit differently. And this one is just like, look, we can still be aggressive. We can still use Dahaka if we have the global. We can still invade camps early. And all of those things that you like to do have a much bigger impact on this map, the same way that Dragonshire does, and it allows you to get those early leads. It allows you to control the pace and control a lot of the game.
For Gale Force Esports, it's a very similar drafting style for towers that we saw them play in the last game. We've seen them play Jaina here. We have seen them maybe be willing to play a Genji, and maybe we'll get to see Biggie, but I almost want to just say I want to see them fight fire with fire. Like I said before, I want to see Gale Force Esports play these kinds of aggressive picks too. LFM did the same exact thing. They drafted the Blaze. They had Sound Barrier and Sanctification though too. And they did get that one win over Tempo Storm, but it was just on the first game. It was on Sky. And otherwise, LFM just got run over by Tempo Storm the way a lot of teams have been run over by this kind of play from Tempo Storm. I would like to see maybe a change up for Gale Force here. Maybe we'll see them pick a lot of Disengage. Maybe this is where we get Michael Udall's Falstad and they have a Gust, and maybe that's the way that we see them go. But Gale Force has the potential to play that kind of draft too, so maybe we're going to see them just try to take some of those picks away.
I fully agree with you. I think that they have to find a way to play into that, and you know, sometimes the best counter punch, is to just throw what they're throwing, right? Throw a haymaker right back at them, and see if they can withstand the punch that you can withstand. And we'll see if Gale Force can go that route. Mouth Hill, of course, being banned out here, high priority for both of our series thus far, but the Falstad factor, I think, is definitely something to consider. The Greymane factor, it gives you more of that safe auto attack style plus the potential dive. And again, the Medivh Jaina, to me, struggles in the early game. You don't have the burst damage. You don't have the ice block. Medivh does nothing but shield and provide you portals early game, and even those aren't as reliable. So I think a little bit safer style may be better here, or again, the fire with fire.
Yeah, that's the consideration that Gale Force are spending these seconds figuring out. Genji is still up too. Genji has been banned quite a lot, but so is the ETC. And ETC allows you to kind of go both ways. You have this pretty good peel if you need the peel for the backline. Otherwise, you also have this good engagement with power slides. You have the knockback too. So for Gale Force Esports, it's just a strong, solid pick. It's ETC, it's Fury's probably his best pick too, I would say.
Yeah, coming into this weekend, 11 games played, more ETC games than anybody, 8 wins. So the win rate is really high for them with ETC.
Yes.
So there's no hesitation for them to go into that. And so him picking that up, obviously didn't have the success in game 1, but definitely a threat always when it comes to Fury's ETC.
Yeah, and you've talked quite a bit about his aggression, and he does play that ETC aggressively, but yet he still only averages less than 1 death per game. So it's a strong pick for him. He knows how to push that line of the aggression with his ETC. Tempo Storm now, they're looking at their 2 picks. They get Dahaka, and they take the Genji too. Gale Force had started to play some more Genji, but you know who else was playing more Genji last week? Fan.
Fan. I'm going to hit you with some fan stats, right?
Yeah, just bring him out. He's got a punch. Let's go.
Least deaths, North America, or he averages the least amount of deaths. His KDA, extremely high. So least deaths, highest KDA, which means his involvement rate is extremely high. KD, 3. A 3 KD on a if you look globally, teams average 2 or less as a team, right? A 3 KD is one of the reasons that's so elevated. That's number 1 in North America, 7th in the world. Deaths per game, 8th in the world. KDA, 7th in the world. Oh, by the way, average hero damage per game. For somebody that plays Malfurion, Tassadar, every hero under the sun. 5th in North America, 16th in the world. This dude does it all. He literally does everything for Tempo Storm.
He and June are the only NA players in the top 10 of KDA ratio. June's right behind. He's the #1 support. And then, yeah, Fan's #1 KDA. He's just absolutely insane with everything he can play. Yes, I love seeing that, but Fans Genji, first time last week, 4 kills per game across the 2 games. Hasn't died yet, 100% kill participation.
Not too bad.
Yeah, Fans Genji's pretty good for not seeing it until week 4. It's very strong. But you know what? I like what we're seeing from Gale Force.
Switch it up. The problem is that I really worry, because as much firepower as you have with ETC, Kerrigan, Malfurion, that's a lot of lockdown. You need somebody that can do damage behind that, but you also need a solo laner. Falstad, I think, because Kerrigan is normally Michael Udall, Falstad is off the board. The global of Dahaka, in terms of that other melee, is now gone. So now, if Dahaka plays the exact same way we saw in Dragonshire, just imagine the Sapper camps or the Siege Giant camps on Dragonshire. Here, the Sappers. You invade, use Dahaka, you have a 5 versus 4, and it's almost impossible. You land your combo or you're dead, right? Or you have to leave. And that's where Gale Force is going to have a problem in the early game. That's just the early part. It's just the way Tempo Storm likes to set the pace, like to dictate the terms that they like to play on. And that's where Tempo Storm, I think that's why they prioritize Dahaka so highly.
Yeah, having that global is huge for the global potential for the top. Being able to push top in a lot more, that lane gets sort of left out a lot of times unless you have the globals, but you can make a huge play by just slowly pushing that down little by little, having someone come up, help you with those sappers, and then you also can come down in turn and invade the sappers, as you said. Tempo's been running that style before. It works out for them on many a map, including here on Towers of Doom. So let's see what Gale Force can get in response to that. As we had a Medivh ban from Tempo Storm, trying to keep that Kerrigan alive. Gale Force bans Abathur.
Yeah, the Abathur, I don't think the Abathur was actually going to fit with this when you already have the Dahaka, because then you're strictly relying on Genji damage and a clone Genji, and you can wait that out. You can survive that. I'm a bit surprised at the Abathur ban. We might see an Uther here to kind of go with the Genji. I think that would be a little bit riskier to deal with. I believe this is the reworked, the slightly nerfed Genji, right? Yeah, so slightly less damage on his Dragon Strike. Dragon Blade, excuse me. Dragons everywhere. On his Dragon Blade. And then the Dragon becomes me. A little bit less duration on Hero's hit. So it's not as intimidating, but everything else about his kit still, okay, look.
He's not as intimidating. It's true. He did receive a slight nerf. He's still in the hands of fans, so like, you know.
There's an outside shot it could be Psalm here.
It could, that is true.
That's the scary part about this team.
It's the beauty of Tempo Storm. That's one of their biggest selling points going into the Western Clash, is they have everything up their sleeve. They've played everything from double melee assassin to Cho'Gall. Anything is possible, including Uther and a new Barak. It's been a little while.
I am just really surprised that Uther got let through. An Abathur Dahaka composition generally has not done well in the past, and it just kind of leaves a lot to be desired, especially when Genji is your only damage dealer. So letting the Uther through, we'll see if that does harm them. Uther does deal well with the burst damage from Kerrigan, so supplying that armor can mean the difference between a kill and a save, and then a turn fight for Tempo Storm. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's up to Gale Force to bring in some more damage here in their last 2 picks.
I'm pretty sure Gale Force does normally ban Abathur on Towers of Doom, but I totally agree with you here. For Tempo Storm, already having Dahaka and wanting to make sure that they can be aggressive early, that might not have worked out as much for them. But having the Uther and a Nubarak, that definitely works out well for them. They have a highly coordinated style of the Nubarak stuns, Uther 2, Genji with a Swift Strike, a drag from Dahaka. It's going to be hard to get those targets away. And we're seeing a Leoric come in as a way of trying to be tankier, and then a Li Ming to finish out Gale Force's draft.
The Leoric gives them potential for wave clear to deal with if Dahaka uses his Brush Talk or goes to invade. You can clear the waves and deny experience a little bit easier than you can with Blaze, especially if you go Neil Peasants. The Li Ming pickup is a little bit surprising to me. I think it's just strictly to kind of bust that cocoon out. You have Force Armor that can deal with Genji potentially diving. So you have that. I almost expected it to maybe be a Grey Mane in that slot, maybe a Tychus if you really wanted to go down that route. But the Li Ming a little bit surprising to me here.
Me too. But like you said, she is a good target or a good person to have to make sure to deal with a cocoon. And Tempo Storm, that's likely to be what it is. It's very rare that we get a Locust Swarm. One last pick for Tempo. The Psalm or fan pick depending. It's almost certainly going to be a Glaurung Dahaka.
Yeah, I mean, they get the Tychus. I was going to say, because you could always see Fan go over to Ragnaros or something, you know, just a whole wide variety of heroes they could go into. So that last pick was the Tychus.
Yeah, he helps quite a lot with being able to deal with that tanky front line with the ETC and the Leoric. Leoric has to watch himself as they're all just relying on Malfurion to try to keep them alive. But that Malfurion, if he can get in, Akaface gets a good Twilight Dream. You've got Kerrigan and Li Ming, who will both be looking to pick people off at the start of the team fights. And Tychus, being a bit tankier, he's got things like Neo Steel Coating. He's got his Relentless Soldier too, if he's the focus for things like, well, the dive in from Gale Force Esports. He's a more survivable pick, to be true.
Definitely, I think something that could work in the favor is the Tychus pick coming out there will be probably the big part of these. You kind of have these heroes, you're like, all right, a lot of this is pretty standard, we can deal with this, but this is like that big X Factor hero is that he can really turn the tables for both teams.
A more standardized draft that we're seeing from Tempo Storm, as Gale Force did what we were hoping to see and be more aggressive with their compositions, draft a little more into the melees. In Tempo Storm, though, they still have a huge kill composition, like I talked about before with the Anubarak, the Uther, Dahaka if he's there, and the Genji too. We're getting into it. Michael Udall returning to Kerrigan, though. That is an exciting thing to see. Who is going to be playing Psalms on the Tychus, so it will be Fans Genji again.
Be fun to watch. We'll see what he can make happen here against the Malfurion and Li Ming. That's a little bit of a squishy of a backline. See if they can whittle that down and maybe go in. Fury goes in with the raw power slide, trying to see if he could find himself at the hot.
Would have been pretty cool if so, but it does leave Li Ming, who gets taken out for a quick first blood by Tempo Storm. And as Tempo Storm did before, lets them clear out this minion wave in the mid faster so that they get the jump on rotations.
That probably shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, so.
There you go.
Here's one way that Gale Force is trying to disrupt these early invades, is that what if you just send 2 people to the top to deal with Dahaka? Threaten him, see if you can get the early kill. Don't let him leave, right? So we'll see if Gale Force can hold long enough. These tongues by Glaurung doing really good to land here, Gilly.
Yeah, they're very good. Even with the burrow too, making sure that no self-heal is given to B-Kid there.
They walk right into the Sapper camp. They literally just walk in. Tempo Storm is like, we're here and we're taking this.
What are you gonna do about it? Dahaka's coming in. Got Michael Udall coming in. That Impale was brilliant. Follow-up burrow charge, very good too, as Fury tries to get onto the point. Psalm has taken some damage, but Fury is falling rapidly as Michael Udall goes in, trying to trade out the kills, but Psalm stays alive.
Psalm is in a bad spot. A bad spot. Glaurung has enough essence, but not before he gets blown up. Not healing quick enough. They're still on a bad side.
Ooh, Biggie's on the chase. He's on the hunt. He sees a Tychus. He's going to try to get the kill. There's the magic missiles. There it is. No dominance even yet, but gets a heal the old-fashioned way from Akaface. Caterpillar now there too. Gale Force Esports trying to chase down for more. Can they get him?
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Surely not. I do love the, they're just going to invade. They're going to counter-invade. That's the one thing that you have to see from Gale Force. They learned their lesson. They're like, look, we know you're sending Dahaka down. There's no doubt about it. The minute 1 minute mark hit, you're sending. So they rotated everybody in to take that fight. They lost the camp, or excuse me, they got the camp. Now they're getting another. Now they're turning it on them. You said fight fire with fire, Gilly. I'd say this is a pretty good start for Gale Force.
I love to see this too, especially after the difficult loss of Game 1. It wasn't just a loss, it was a dominating one. Nice knockback from Fury as he saves Mike's life. They've got the fan, or the roots there too. It's not Fan this time on Malfurion, it's Akaface. Fan's there too with his Genji diving out of the combo. We've got a triple alter phase about to begin.
Yeah, again, this is where a Leoric pick makes a lot more sense. He can double soak. He went Neil Peasants, meaning that he gets the extra damage, 100% more damage to minions, monsters, and mercs, so he can just kind of rotate between lanes. That is the pickup. It can pay off in the lane control, but can it pay off in the team fights? That's the big question. Man,
that damage is going to get more and more. That wasn't even Fan going along with that. Gale Force Esports needs to be careful about Cattle being able to hit these combos, because if June is there, if Fan's there too, someone's gonna die. Thankfully for Gale Force, it was Fury. It's someone who uses his abilities and gets some armor to help deal with that damage, but it's still scary.
Scary indeed. We still have our altar here. You can see them pinging the bush, threatening up Dahaka. Now that Leoric has made his way up, Dahaka could easily brush stalker in. He's actually done just that. He's coming from the top side, misses his tongue onto Udall. Leoric is still up there, but Fury under assault. Fan going in, trying to confirm the kill. Does he have a slide out?
He's been body blocking. Michael Udall gets kept from being able to rejoin the team. He rotates around, as does B-Kid, as they see themselves a Caterpillar. Gale Force Esports were hoping they could move in, but Tempo Storm did a great job of zoning from there too. It started with the Glaurung Dahaka, how he was able to control Michael Udall's positioning. Took Leoric a little bit longer to get there too, but it's still the... all right, now it's the 2 altars plus the Leoric kill.
Leoric consolation prize at the end, but buys Gale Force enough time to make sure they don't give up the invade on their Sapper camp. But Leoric, good trait value. That's how we categorize it.
Goes ahead and goes to top, so once he resurrects, he's there to get the soak. Sappers claimed by both teams, but with Tempo Storm, with Gale Force Esports, moving a lot of people up into position. They're a little bit later to the party being able to attack this, but great combo after the power slide. The roots too, and Nubarak goes down. Yeah,
Nubarak goes down. Dahaka actually started to brush stalker in. You can't cancel that. So he came in hoping that the fight would be long enough, but definitely was not. B-Kid using that Leoric, getting the double lane soak. This is a good play by Gale Force.
Yeah, the Leo play is on point. Yes, there was the one loss. Could heal to allow the Sapper to try to move in faster. Som now seems to be the target of the combo, though Fan gets knocked back as the whole team going in with an orb, blows up Genji. It's Gale Force Esports who are looking to take the first bell tower.
Yeah, they only have 3 minions left, so I don't think they can quite confirm this. Glaurung coming down the backside looking for the tongue. Nice roots in there, but can he confirm a lockdown? See if he can find somebody. Nice power slide over by Fury to buy them time, and Biggie follows up that with a huge combo to Dahaka.
The cool under pressure of every single person from Gale Force. They should not have gotten out of there. Akaface just turns around, says, no, not today. They get the root. He gets another root underneath his cattle. Again, Gale Force Esports are going for him. But then the 4-man power slide, which is beautiful too. Now B-Kid, though, he's taken a lot of damage. Quick Wraith walk out just to negate some of that as he gets around the bend. And there is an altar that is ready in the mid.
Yeah, you know, the fact that they've gotten Leoric this game, he's soaked up so much experience. 5,200 versus the next highest in the game, Dahaka at 3,800. That's why we see almost a full level lead on the side of Gale Force. Using that rotation between the top mid has netted them that experience, and it's forced Tempo Storm to respond in a lot of different ways that they were not expecting. Fighting fire with fire, Gilly, is exactly what Gale Force is doing.
It's working for them too. They head to their siege camp. Tempos is up right now. And Gale Force getting that so fast, it might be a possible place to invade, but Tempo Storm, they've had enough of this dual soak Leoric freely moving around between mid and top. With Swift Strike coming in, they'll execute Leoric and look to at least take the top and trade out in the bell towers. They're the ones who are starting to be down in experience. It's Gale Force who are closer to 10, so that pick and the siege on top, that's going to help them catch up.
It's going to help them catch up, and I really want to see Gale Force just kind of move in, try and get some structure damage. It keeps Uther honest in that bot lane. If they can get here, B-Kid can get the slow, but B-Kid might die before they even get here.
Oh, he got a little bit of healing from his skeletal swing, but with the Twilight Dream now, Tychus has gone down. It's a 1-for-1, but B-Kid's trying to keep the slows on. Burrow is beautiful for Glaurung to be able to avoid the combo, but he can't avoid everything as Fury power slides in, knocks him back, takes him down. Second kill and staggered deaths for Tempo Storm as they hit 10.
They hit 10. You know, I almost expected them to just kind of move in, get a little bit of structure damage mid, but the fact that Leoric came back so quickly with that trait value actually allowed them to turn that fight. So you're trading the Leoric for 2 kills. Very nicely done, and by obtaining that bottom bell tower, the next altar phase is here in the bottom lane. So that should allow an easier grab. You can see the long walk home. Leoric has to get out of the middle of these lanes, Gilly.
Yeah, he keeps getting caught. Very short Wraith walk again. Trying to use that Consumed Vitality to stay alive, but Fan chases him down. Now Fury is caught, but Caterpillar was hoping that he could catch Big Impact instead. Another great route from Akaface as a drag catches Fury too. Tempo Storm are grasping at any single person they possibly can. Behind this, Michael Udall has been channeling this altar this entire time. They get the 5 shots, power slide back in. Gale Force are looking to fight this. B-Kid's back.
B-Kid's back. Fury getting low, but so is Cattle, who's going to go down. Udall goes in. He gets the reset on that. Maelstrom's going in. Fan, he gets a reset of his own. He's trying to go in as he's got the D-Shield. Michael Udall staying alive for the moment. He's trying to hide in the bush. That's not going to get him anywhere. As two members of Gale Force go down.
Yeah, between the auto attacks of the Odin and Fan there too, they get that kill on Kerrigan. And now Tempo Storm can turn back and take back what had been theirs, that bottom bell tower, alleviating some of the lane pressure. This is something that Gale Force absolutely does not want to give. Gale Force is a team that if they can get that bottom, they will never let it go. They'll keep control of that. But they decided to go up, and then they lost out on B-Kid. They felt like they needed to save him. They got caught with a couple of people out in the meantime, so this evens out the odds of the game.
Still waiting for that big mosh pit, though. All it will take is one big mosh and a couple of Leeming resets to kind of blow this open. That's where Gale Force's, their strength lies in terms of opening this game up. They've done well to soak the lanes. B-Kid obviously has given up a few deaths, being very far forward, thinking that he can get away, but the stun combo from Tempo Storm to kind of do things. Now they're using Udall as bait. They're like, all right, we've seen you dive onto Leoric. Have a little bit of Kerrigan bait, would you?
Cattle says no to the bait. He won't bite.
Ooh.
Excellent. Quick draw from Caterpillars. We have 2 altars about to activate. I want to shout out Caterpillar too. That last cocoon was brilliant. Disintegrated started to come out. Somebody was falling pretty low. Cattle throws out his cocoon on Malfurion, and Leeming turns her Disintegrate to make sure that he can, the Biggie can break Akaface out. Now there is the combo going in on top of Michael Udall, and he is just blown straight to pieces.
Cocoon interrupts the mosh pit as he did not get trapped in there. Now ETC, I don't think he has a slide to get out of here. Does have the W for the moment. The slide gets interrupted. Wow.
Unrelenting. It's Tempo Storm. That whole fight looked so pretty for them. Immediate Burrow Charge Swift Strike. Perfectly timed from Cattle and from Fan. And then Michael Udall was basically no health, trying to stay alive with Maelstrom, the healing. There's no burst heal there. There's no divine shield. You were reliant on your Malfurion to have that regrowth there and then give you the Moonfire heals from that. So falling that low is going to be a very difficult place for any of the members of Gale Force Esports to come back from.
Gale Force, for what it's worth, they only gave up 1 turret so far in this bot lane. They haven't given up a ton of control map-wise. They do find themselves down now in terms of experience and core health. So it's not terrible just yet, but there's the coordination again, Gilly.
It's terrifying.
We didn't get Nature's Cure either, by the way.
No, you're right. Same talent we saw from Fan too. Wild Growth. Trying to extend your regrowths. Make sure that you can keep it on everybody. Anybody is a target, right? When you've got that kind of synergy, that kind of control between the Uther stuns, which we haven't even gotten to Benediction yet. Anubarak gets scarier when he has Rewind too. As Anubarak goes in.
I think he might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew. He's trying to go, but the tongue's going to land from Glaurung. That's going to turn things in their favor. Twilight Dream was used to no avail. He saw the Genji go into the trap, but he was out there on an island alone. You call that a lonely island.
Every single fight to Gale Force has not really been able to get what they'd like out of ETC. Fury plays an amazing ETC, but half of these fights he's either cocooned, he's got an isolation on him, and that gives Tempo Storm time to use their control, use that beautiful Anubarak Genji synergy to get a kill, and it has been on Michael Udall a lot of these times because he is, far out, he's a squishy hero, and there is no big heal to try to keep him alive.
This is a tough situation because Dahaka is at the bottom. He has the global. He's just waiting to see everybody show up on the side of Gale Force. This is Chu going over. I wondered if Tempo Storm would try and move in here, but they do not. They take their 2 altars and stretch their lead and keep their experience.
23-16 with level 16 there for Tempo Storm. Have some different options of what they want to do. Gale Force has B-Kid still trying to get them to 16, gain them that experience to get back in the game. Bottom, it looks like Tempo Storm would love to be able to gain control of this bottom lane, maybe start escorting in some sappers, which will be up in a few seconds.
Yeah, the sapper control right now without 16 will make it difficult for Gale Force. They're using the Leoric, trying to soak the value, but you can see they've already moved Leoric and Kerrigan down into position if need be. Kerrigan has joined up with the 4-man. Leoric just hanging out, learned his lesson about staying too far out. This should give Gale Force 16. The camp is going to be there, but I don't think that Tempo Storm can make a play on it anymore. Good for Gale Force to hold it for the meantime.
You know, Jay-How, I wonder if Nature's Cure, we're not seeing it because there's just so many stuns. Like, there's so many, because all it does is remove the one. Well, you've got 2 from a new Barak. You have the drag. You have isolation for a silence, a slow from that too. You have Uther, which has plenty there too. Maybe it's just that there's so much that he would rather try and maybe see if he can get more healing going, make sure that he has the regrowths on everybody. But it's a risky situation to be in, but that was sort of always how it was going to be versus that kill composition versus the Malfurion.
Odin has been used here, and the reason being is that it allows them to defend the Sappers. It forces Gale Force back. Fan goes in because he's got enough mobility to get out. It's likely going to be a trade in the top lane, so you don't necessarily need the Odin in the top lane. If you just trade out, you get the value, you keep things neutral and in your favor if you're Tempo Storm. If you're Gale Force, you have to think, do we try and invade? They don't. So good recognition by Tempo Storm on all fronts there.
Yeah, they're going to get 4 shots from that. That keeps them in control of the shots from or on the core health, and for Tempo Storm, since they have such a good experience lead, they're working their way up just to getting more, unless they can get a pick here. Great roots again from Akaface as Caterpillar was seeing if he could catch a new one up while Tempo Storm got into position.
Trying to deal with some of the burst damage. Take a look at this, Gilly. Li Ming at level 16 went Diamond Skin, which means she gets 20% of her max health for 4 seconds as a shield. So it's an interesting approach. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time, but against this dive style, burst style, it's definitely one way to make sure you stay alive.
Fan gets in the back line, and now Fury's trying to turn around and get him with the rest of the team while a drag hits him. The whole team was focused on Fan, and he juked as he needed to do going out. But the combo lands, Maelstrom's in. This time Michael Udall more healthy with more shields. Malfurion's been taken out, but Michael Udall is still willing to try to turn this fight around.
June goes down. He's passing out the healing to Glaurung, but the Disintegrate's going to be there. Biggie gets the reset. The Dominance is going to proc. Fan goes to the enemy side of the map for the moment, has his agility. He's going to jump over. That is a 3-for-3 trade, but the fact that Gale Force took that fight, I mean, look at the death timers, Gilly. We're talking about 20, potentially 30 seconds between some of those deaths. That means Gale Force was fighting down. All it took was that one reset for Li Ming. They stayed in there. That was an amazing. That Michael Udall 3-man combo got them low enough to where they were able to stay in that fight, and Li Ming's just like, just give me that one reset. That's all that I need.
That fight was Michael Udall versus Fan. That whole thing was just watching Genji and Kerrigan try to get kills for the team, and it looked really bad for Gale Force to start. Fury got caught. He had tried to power slide in. They went for Caterpillar, and then the team got split. Gale Force chased down Fan, while the rest of Tempo Storm dealt with Fury and got that first kill. There's the Cocoon. Big Impact will simultaneously break that down and stop Fan from channel. Yeah, 2 birds with 1 stone.
All right, we still have Mosh Pit, and this is a choke point. We'll see if Fury tries to be aggressive. They've got their eyes on Dahaka for the moment, but Anubrak going in. So is Fan. The Odin is out as well. Tempo Storm looking for a fight. I don't think Gale Force is going to back down.
Well, they have Maelstrom in just a few seconds. They have Twilight Dream too, but they've been way zoned away now as Fury's going to check in and see. He has to get there. Caterpillar stops him, from being able to move in any further with the double channel. It's enough for Tempo Storm to claim that altar, and they still have that control. They still have that level lead.
That bot lane, though, is dangerously close to going over to Gale Force. Yeah, Fury had actually used his W on the Dahaka on the top, therefore he didn't have his W available on that shrine. But here we go. There's the slide. There's the target. That's going to be a Nubrak going down. And just as easily as that bottom bell tower was low, Gilly, it's about to definitely be in control of Gale Force.
Incredible recognition from Fury, the tank player for Gale Force, to see that, hey, this time Impale's already been used trying to slow us down from rotating in. That's been what has stopped Fury from being able to power slide in on top of Caterpillar and allow him to escape. It's so fun to get to watch this tank versus tank matchup. Caterpillar switching over to the warrior role to fill the void left after Fury was not on this team anymore. And now Fury is going to get chased down. Starts the bus. He's fine.
And team were in the bot lane, so he's like, wait a minute, hold on. I don't have a healer here. This seems kind of scary. I'm just going to go this way.
Maybe getting a little hyped, considering that it feels like momentum-wise, Gale Force are starting to shift control into their court. It's necessary here. They are down in the core health. They don't quite have 20 yet. We would love to be able to defend this bell tower.
I'm surprised they didn't set up for that, Gilly. The next altars are in the bottom. They hold it for now.
Sappers behind that too.
Now the Sappers are behind it. It's double altar phase in the mid bot. So having this control, it controls the choke points. And you can see Tempo Storm already recognizing this. Sometimes team are a little slow to rotate this way. Then they get caught behind. They're forced into a different choke. Instead, they make sure that they have the high ground, essentially, in this situation. We need to see a channel on the side of Gale Force near the bottom. But this at least allows Tempo to be on even footing. But we got the drag on the Fury.
Catches Fury. Beacon has buried alive now with his Entomb, but he is getting ripped to shreds. With 2, the 4-man death metal. Those 2 kills, Twilight Dream behind that now, but the Divine Shield and Fan, he is looking for the team wipe.
He's looking for the team wipe. Cocoon instantly used onto the Maelstrom. Kerrigan, and they're diving on the backside. Down goes Li Ming. Down goes Malfury, and Michael Udall not able to do much more. And Tempo Storm is going to open this map back up in their favor as they take a bell tower. They're going to hold the channel on the altar, get as much as they can. And Gilly, if they get one channel and a boss,